Thank you, Mr.
Please proceed.
Chairman.
Please proceed.
Before anything else, thank you to both the committees and their chairperson for the opportunity to shed light on the four-piece program. We know that the four-piece program is 50% of the budget of DSWD. It's the country's flagship anti-poverty program. It's really befitting be given the time to go through the intricacies of it. We prepared a 6-slide presentation together with printouts that we can hand to the members for better understanding. The first slide, if you can pull it up already. We prepared printouts for distribution actually. So, Mr. Chairman, in your opening statement, you pointed out, and rightfully so, that one of the bigger issues of the four-piece is the identification of the beneficiaries. Laging may issue on bakit siya kasama, bakit hindi ako kasama. And the first slide is actually, how do I put it, the root of all the trouble. In fact, Congresswoman Castro and Congresswoman Brosas knows this because during the budget season, I think Congresswoman Kimbo as well, we spoke about listahanan 3. For everybody's refresher, the four-piece targeting system, which was prescribed by law and an executive order, uses the NHTO or the National Household Targeting System. Every 4 years, the department is tasked to create a listahanan wherein people are classified poor or not non-poor. The listahanan, the latest listahanan started 2019. If you can see in the timetable, the 2019 was the setup and the start of the data gathering. Unfortunately, noong 2020, we all know COVID happened. And that's where the trouble all started. Hindi ho natapos yung listahanan ng listahanan 3. What happened then was, 1, hindi siya natapos, which rendered around 625,000 plus families unassessed. Meaning, itong mga pamilya na to can be poor but hindi sila napuntahan, so unassessed sila. And then, there was around 1.3 million plus families that were tagged as non-poor. So tigil muna ako doon. Itong dalawang numero na to, pag pinagsama nito, they're already 50% of the 4.4 beneficiaries. So medyo malaking numero yung maaring madilis at saka yung hindi na-assess, which is very dangerous. So fast forward August 2022, Secretary Tulfo had the good sense to do a reassessment. Nag-worry siya kasi from the bureaucrats who are with me, they were saying na nag-worry si Sec Tulfo kasi ang daming madidilis. Imagine nyo, 50% almost. Unassessed, 600,000 and then another 1.3 ang just sasabihin na hindi na sila poor. So the department was getting a lot of grievances. So what he did was to sign off an executive order or an administrative order in the department saying that let's reassess these people. Kasi kawawa naman, kakatapos ng COVID, tapos madidilis ka. At napakarami nila. 2023, early part, January 31, I joined the department and we carried on that reassessment. Tinuloy namin yon, if you can see. Now, in that initial reassessment, the initial result came back saying na 698,000 of the total number were poor. So medyo malaki-laki pa rin siya. How do we know na malaki siya? We were getting reports from the office of the different congressperson like si Congressman Abalos, Congresswoman Kimbo, that were saying na there were people on the ground who were complaining na mahirap pa rin kami pero dinidilis kami. In fact, I had lengthy discussions with both congressperson about this. And the department took cognizance of that. So what did we do? We went to PSA and NEDA and we told them, look, yung proxy means test na ginagamit natin, baka hindi na siya calibrated sa anyo ng kahirapan post-COVID. We have to remember, nag-iba yung mukha ng kahirapan pagtapos ng COVID. But the assessment tool or the proxy means test that we are using to determine kung poor or not poor, lumang proxy means test pa, pre-COVID. True enough, PSA said, yes, mukhang yung tool nyo, yung tool na ginagamit, hindi na siya calibrated. Hindi niya makakapture yung tunay na mukha ng kahirapan post-COVID. Kaya napakalaki ng mga dinidilis nyo. So immediately, we set forth to use another tool inside the department called the SWD. The good Congress members here in the Budget Committee, APRO Committee, asked me about SWD. SWD is the Social Welfare Development Index indicator tool of DSWD. Matagal na ho yan na sa department. It's a case management tool, meaning our social workers will always use that physically to assess a person's total well-being with 3 categories. Level 1, which is poor, subsistence, survival, 2 is subsistence, and 3 is self-sufficiency. Ito, ang difference niya sa proxy means, and si Congresswoman Kimbo and I had a lengthy discussion about this. Si proxy means test kasi is a table assessment. All the field will get all the numbers, submit it to us, we run the numbers, you are decided as poor or not poor. It's purely statistical. While si SWD, meron siyang emotional coefficient na kasama because the case worker or the social worker goes visits you at tinitignan niya yung economic well-being mo, yung social integration mo, everything, the social adequacy. So makikita niya yung tunay na mukha. So we adopted that tool, and nung inadapt natin yung tool na yan, what happened was around 726 were determined na poor pa rin talaga. Huwag nyo sila alisin. So that's the new number that we retained. Now, if you look at the succeeding timetable, September 2023 onwards, meron pa kaming mga hinanap na mga new cases. Now, these cases, ang nangyari ho, if you can recall nung 2019, 2020, may mga clients who were in listahanan 1, listahanan 2, rated as poor, pero nawala sila sa listahanan 3. They just disappeared. Bakit? Ang theory ho namin doon, the evaluators ng listahanan during COVID, hindi napuntahan lahat. So, they just decided, some of them siguro just said na, hindi na poor to. There's that level of human error. Lumipat yung tao, hindi niya na nahabol. So, kami in the department, we undertook another round of assessment. Sabi namin, we have to give a fair chance to everybody. So, we painstakingly started looking for each and every one of them. Hanggang ngayon, hinahanap pa ho namin sila. Meaning, these are accounts around 600 plus, 7 plus 7. 1.4 yan. 1.4 million na nasa listahanan 1, nasa listahanan 2, pero nawala na lang sila totally sa listahanan 3. So some of them nakakatanggap ng cash grant, then all of a sudden tumigil for no particular reason, which alarmed us. And I think there were cases that Congresswoman Kimbo and Congressman Abalos told me about na just like that, they disappeared. So we tried to trace what happened to them. Apparently, they are part of those population na they just disappeared from listahanan 3. They were in listahanan 1, listahanan 2 as poor. They disappeared in listahanan 3. So what did we do? Starting September 2023 all the way till now as we speak, we are painstakingly matching them. Meaning we would get their record sa listahanan 1, listahanan 2, pupuntahan namin sa bahay, hahanapin namin kung nasaan sila. And we're now down to 491 accounts of those. We're still painstakingly going to their homes one by one to locate them para malaman talaga namin yung well-being nila. Now, what does this slide tell us? Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, basically what the slide is telling us, one, the reason why, later on you'll see in the succeeding slide, when I came here during the budget season, mababa yung disbursement rate namin. Naglilinis kami ng listahan. We withheld the grants because we cannot be paying when the person is tagged as non-poor. So ang theory namin, linisin muna natin yung listahan ng maayos para masigurado natin na yung babayaran natin yung mga tamang tao. Now, medyo complicated, all those numbers. But bottom line, ang sinasabi nitong slide na to, your department took the effort to go through the accounts one by one to come up with a clean list. We weren't just happy na nawala lang sila, okay na. What we did was every single complaint that we would get from Congress people, from organized groups ng 4-piece beneficiaries, sineryoso namin, we would go look for them. And we're almost done. Our goal is by the first semester of 2024, itong 400,000 na unseen, ibig sabihin yung nawala lang, matatapos na ho namin yan. Now, if you go to the next slide will show you the disbursement rate namin when I came here, the obligation rate and the disbursement rate when I came here during the budget season. If I can direct your attention to the second to the last column, in July 31, during the pre-committee hearing, it was always noted na ang baba ng obligation rate namin. It's only at 30%. In July na. And rightfully so. And we explained in the pre-committee briefings that we were cleaning the list. Nililinis ho namin. But we made the assurance, and I think I made the assurance that come end of the year, we will make sure that we, one, retroactively pay those that are qualified. Two, that we will come up with a more or less clean list. And three, that we will obligate all our funds. So if you look at our December 31 obligation rate, it's at 99.18. Yung naubos ho namin, na-obligate ho namin lahat ng pera ng 4-piece program. Now, you might look at the last column, the disbursement rate, kasi that's equally as important. Yes, we did obligate, pero napunta ba sa mga account nila? If July 31, our disbursement rate was at a dismal 13%. Pero come December, it was at 73.87. You might ask, bakit ang laki ng obligation rate pero ang 70 plus yung disbursement? Because if we can recall, the pay period ng lista ng 4-piece is done every after 2 months. So meaning the pay period 5 and the pay period 6 will come in the succeeding year of 2024. So ngayon lang namin binabayaran kasi ngayon lang sila nagsasubmit ng kanilang compliance. Yung kung nagpunta ba sila ng health center, nagpunta ba sila ng FDS. Furthermore, we also had a couple of issues on the availability of cash, which DBM also helped us with. So that's the reason why my gap between the obligation rate and the disbursement rate. But I assure the good committees right now that the obligation rate, the disbursement is happening as we speak for pay period 5. We're done with it. And right now, we're processing pay period 6. So lalaki ho tong obligation, etong disbursement rate na to. Now, if we go to the slide number 3, the next slide will show you the if you can flash slide number 3, the 4-piece budget over the years. I think this is what Congressman Abalos also pointed out during his privilege speech. Now, if I can direct everybody's attention to the third to the last column, which is the increase or decrease from the net, from the expenditure submitted to Congress. If you look at year 2020, 2021, and 2022, talagang meron sumobrang 7 billion nung 2020, may sumobrang unutilized nung 2021 na 7 billion also. The reason being, during sorry. If I can direct your attention pala to the second to the last column. The second to the last column. The unutilized allotment. So if you look at the unutilized allotment, yan yung mga natira na pera sa programa. At year-end 2020, 8 billion yung natira na unobligated and undisbursed. Nung 2021, 9.8 billion. Admittedly, even nung 2022, may 8.3 na naiwan sa account. And we know na it's a bad word na may pera pero hindi ginagastos during those years. Now, the reason being, remember 2020, 2021, yung school, hindi pa ho regular yon. So the education grants weren't being paid kasi wala naman hong physical na pasok or erratic pa noong mga panahon na yon. That's one of the reasons. The second reason, we were cleaning the list as we mentioned. The secretaries prior, during that time, were also withholding grants because we were cleaning the list. Kaya mababa yung bilang ng beneficiaries natin during that time. But assurance was made nga that the department will keep on cleaning, which we did. That's why, pagdating ng 2022, if you look at the 2023, the year that I assumed the helm, the unutilized fund was only at around 769 million, and these are not grants, these are administrative costs. Yung mga bayad natin sa mga tao which will be processed pag nag-submit ng DTR, pag nag-submit ng ibang requirement. So you can see that in the second to the last column, from billions of unutilized, now we're down to 700 million, which in relation to its budget is a small percentage, as we pointed out. Now, the third column pertains to the decrease in the NEP. Nung 2020, 2021, 2022, nababawasan talaga yung pondo niya because we figured they saw that we were not utilizing the entire amount. So natural yon. I can only assume that they were deducting it because yan yung amount ng hindi namin na-utilize. But later on in this presentation, we will show you that we wrote the both chambers asking that in 2023, wag tabasan yung budget because magagamit namin. Because we made that commitment in the committees, both in the Senate and Congress, that the cleanup list will come out end of the year and fully utilize namin because magre-retroactive payment pa tayo babayaran natin yung mga obligasyon natin sa mga poor na na-delist temporarily or na-suspend. Now, moving on to the next slide, it's the financial performance of the 4Ps. Again, it just, the next, if we can, yeah. This just reiterates what I said a while ago. If you look at the 2023 column row, the disbursement rate is at 73.87. Our obligation rate is at 99%. And if you look at the physical targets, we reached 99% of our physical target in 2023. This stands by our commitment to the good committee on APRO during the budget hearing na we will utilize it, we will fix the list, and we will disburse accordingly and obligate accordingly. Now, the next slide actually points to the actions taken by the department. First, early on, as mentioned, we wrote the departments, the chambers during the budget season, reiterating our position na sana wag bawasan despite the fact na mababa yung utilization namin early on because we were anticipating the retroactive payment and we were anticipating a clean list by end of the year. So this is the first action that we took. But since nabawasan ho siya, what we did was come January 29, we sat with the DBM officials and asked them how we can settle the outstanding accounts. Kasi wala na hong necessary appropriation dahil nabawasan siya. So we need to find a way to pay the accounts. Now, I was asked briefly by members of Congress about the outstanding that we have. Noong 2023, the running outstanding to beneficiaries accounts for 6.5 billion in education grants. Meaning we owe that to the beneficiaries, 6.5 billion. Other grants, such as health grants, the other rice subsidy will account for 3 billion. So that brings us to a total payable of 9.05 billion for 2023. Then, on 2024, if you go back to the original slides, since there was also a budget cut for 2024 amounting to 6.5 billion, now nabuo na yung listahan natin, we anticipate that by end of the year, magiging due na rin yung 6.5 billion na yan. So if you add the arrears of 9.05 billion plus 6.5 billion, we are now running a deficit of technically 15.5 billion pesos. That is due to the various beneficiaries. Now, last slide. I don't want to take too much of the time, too much time of the committee. Ways forward. I'm sure you'll ask us, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, about what we think we can do. We are still working with DBM on how to settle this kasi ang due as we speak right now na walang appropriation is the education grant. Nakalutang lang ho yun. It's coming to a 4 end of March, no? End of March? End of March. Ito yung retroactive, 'di ba? Natandaan nyo sila yung mga kakahanap namin, kaka-assess namin, na determine na poor sila. So now they are entitled for their grants. So we need to pay that come first quarter, hopefully. Yun na yung lahat ng nahanap natin at nasabi natin na poor sila. Sila yung mga unang dinilis at binalik.
To wala selfie.
Hindi pa ho, Mr.
Iba pa
Chairman.
yun.
May portion na ganon. Medyo magulo talaga. May portion na ganon. May portion din yung una na sinabing hindi ka poor. Pero nung tinignan namin yung bago nating assessment tool, poor ka pa rin pala. So kasama rin ho yun. And pangatlo, yung mga hindi talaga na-assess at all. Meron rin yung hindi na sila pinuntahan.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you add all of them up, theoretically, we will start owing them something by the first quarter of the year. And we're talking to DBM about how to charge this. And then, Mr. Chairman, moving forward, I cannot overemphasize the second point, the CBMS. It's a bill, it's a law by Congress, last Congress. Yung listahanan, it's already very, very old. Ang lifeline niyan dapat 4 na taon. It's now pushing on its 5th year. We checked with NEDA and PSA, ang theory nila dyan, ang inclusion is as much as 30%. Meaning, maaring may mga 30% ng populasyon natin na mahirap pero wala sa listahanan. Kasi luma na siya. Lalo na nangyari pang COVID. At meron din, maari, na nasa loob ng listahan, pero dapat wala doon. Pero that can be minimized because we did the SWD. Binahay-bahay sila, tinignan. But the CBMS is a powerful tool. Ako, naging mayor ako and I used that when I was a city mayor. It's a powerful tool and it's already been enacted by Congress. I believe there are unprogrammed funds for it. But we just want to lobby that and warn everybody na kumbaga sa radar, the airplane is flying blind, will fly blind by next year. So wag naman may mangyari ulit like nung COVID na may social amelioration, yung listahan na gagamitin ng departamento is a very old list. And we are bound to get in trouble with bakit wala ako sa loob, bakit ako na sa loob. And the PSA knows and they're asking for help. And we are now submitting the the last way forward to the good committees that maybe you can help. Hindi ko kami ang mag-administer niyan, PSA and the local government unit. Hopefully that they can release, I don't know how or anong rules on the unprogrammed because there are 4 categories that we need to meet: new revenues, excess revenues, GOCC excess funds, or foreign assisted, but hindi siya kasama doon. Because they need to start doing the CBMS now. We're already first quarter and we're running out of time. Kailangan nila mag-set up data gathering, saturation, analysis. Baka again, God forbid, something happens and hingan kami ng listahan. Ang listahan na mabibigay namin is an inadequate list already. With that said, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, thank you. And we open ourselves to any questions from the good members of the committees.